I only used it for fighting where that was my image, just real hardcore, no sock. And
Mike Tyson's latest meltdown happened just weeks after his fight with Jake Paul. At 58, the former heavyweight champion lost control again. This time, it wasn't in the ring. Security footage shows Tyson attacking someone outside a Las Vegas hotel. Within hours, police had him in handcuffs. But this wasn't just another celebrity scuffle. What Tyson said during his arrest shocked even the officers. The outburst reveals a dark side that never left him. Fans thought prison had changed him. They were wrong. Mike Tyson was born on June 30th, 1966, at Cumberland Hospital in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. He never really had a steady father. His biological dad, Purcell Tyson, vanished early. Then his mother's partner, Jimmy Kirkpatrick, left too when Mike was only 2. That left his mother, Lorna, struggling to raise the family alone. They bounced around different parts of Brooklyn until they ended up in Brownsville, one of the roughest neighborhoods in New York. The place was loaded with crime, drugs, and violence. Their apartment was cramped, money was always short, and Mike barely had shoes to wear. The absence of a father and the weight of poverty sank deep into him. It didn't take long for those streets to begin shaping him. When Mike was just 7, they moved into 178 Amboy Street in Brownsville. By 10, he was already surrounded by gang culture. The streets taught him early that survival meant being tougher than everyone else. Mike was quiet, short, and wore glasses, which made him an easy target. Bullies beat him up, robbed him, and humiliated him. He found comfort in raising pigeons on the rooftop, but one day a local boy snapped the neck of one of his birds. Something inside Mike snapped too. He beat the boy mercilessly. That rage stayed with him. That same fire became his defense. After that, no one saw him as weak again. By the time Mike was 13, he'd been arrested 38 times. He fell in with a gang called the Jolly Stompers. They mugged people, broke into homes, and constantly battled rivals. Fist fights were normal. Mike claimed he had at least 150 street fights before he turned pro. He learned to punch inside abandoned buildings, hiding from cops. During one beating by a group of older boys who stripped him and left him half dead, Mike swore he'd never let anyone do that to him again. That moment turned into fuel. He trained in secret, punching walls, concrete, anything solid. He wasn't just fighting kids anymore. He was fighting the memory of being helpless. At 12, after stealing a woman's purse, Mike got sent to the Tryon School for Boys in upstate New York. It was 1978. He was already a hardened repeat offender. Tryon was more of a punishment camp than a school. Cold, quiet, strict. His mom never visited him once during the 9 months he spent there, but this place became the first twist in Mike's story. Bobby Stewart, a counselor and ex-boxer, noticed something different when he watched Mike spar. His speed, power, and raw violence stood out. Stewart introduced him to boxing in a way no one else had. The gloves fit, the aggression found a channel. That's when Stewart made a call that would change Tyson's life. In 1980, at 14, Mike met Cus D'Amato. Cus was 73 then, a legend who had trained champions like Floyd Patterson and Jose Torres. When Mike walked into Cus's home gym in Catskill, he was already over 200 pounds of muscle and rage. Cus didn't just train fighters. He built them from the inside out. He told Mike he could be the youngest heavyweight champion in the world. Mike believed him. For the first time, someone acted like he mattered. Cus invited him to live and train full-time at his home. From that day on, Mike didn't just box. He studied, he listened, he ran through snow in the dark. He learned to move his head, to cover up, to throw the perfect uppercut. Cus called fear a gift. He said the key to winning was learning how to use fear instead of being owned by it. After Mike's mother died in 1982, Cus became his legal guardian. Mike was 16. His new home wasn't a house anymore. It was a boot camp. He woke at 4 in the morning, stretched in silence, and ran miles before the sun came up. After sleeping a few hours, he'd return for brutal afternoon training. He did 2,000 squats a day, 2,500 sit-ups, 500 dips, 800 neck crunches, all before sparring. He watched old fight films, especially Jack Dempsey, studying every move. At noon, he'd go 10 rounds with grown men. His body ached, but he kept going. No distractions, no friends, just fists, sweat, and the voice of Cus in his ear telling him the world belonged to the one who wanted it most. By the time he was ready to compete, Tyson's amateur record was already turning heads. Some records listed 24 wins and 3 losses. Others say he had 48 wins and 6 losses. Whatever the number, his style was terrifying. At just 16, he won a junior Olympic gold medal by knocking out Orbit Poe in 1984. Later that year, he took the Golden Gloves title. Opponents feared him before the bell even rang. He'd stare them down with dead eyes, and they'd break. At the 1984 Olympic trials, he lost controversially to Henry Tillman, which kept him out of the games, but it didn't stop his momentum. His fists spoke louder than judges ever could. On March 6, 1985, Tyson stepped into the ring for his first professional fight at the Plaza Convention Center in Albany. He was 18. His opponent, Hector Mercedes, had more experience but none of the fire. In just 1 minute and 47 seconds, Tyson crushed him with a clean uppercut. The man flew into the ropes. The crowd didn't even have time to settle in. The fight made headlines. A kid from Brownsville had just announced himself to the world. That year, between March and December, Tyson fought 15 times. He won every single one by knockout. 11 of them didn't even make it past the first round. He became a storm no one could stop. On October 9, 1985, he fought Donnie Long in Harrisburg. A single left hook snapped Long's jaw. The fight ended in under 60 seconds. Medical crews rushed in. People weren't just watching Tyson, they were bracing themselves. He was destroying seasoned pros with one punch and walking away like it meant nothing. On February 16, 1986, Tyson stepped onto a national stage against Jesse Ferguson. It aired on ABC. Everyone watching expected another fast knockout. Instead, a head clash opened a deep cut on Ferguson, and the doctor stopped the fight in the 6th. Tyson was furious. He wanted to finish it on his terms. His rage was clear. This fight marked a change. He wasn't just a fighter anymore. He was a machine hungry for destruction. Crowds packed in, reporters followed him. Broadcasters couldn't stop talking about him. He was still undefeated, still young, and already dangerous. Even at the peak of fame, Tyson stayed hidden in the gym. In 1986, while the world watched him rise, he trained in silence. Bleeding hands, sleepless nights, raw knuckles. Cuss had warned him again and again, fame can make you weak. Discipline keeps you sharp. So Tyson ran barefoot through streets to toughen his legs. He sparred with men twice his age. He screamed through his pain in empty gyms. Some days, he wouldn't speak to anyone. There were no breaks, no shortcuts. He trained like his life depended on it. And maybe in his mind, it did. In November 1986, Mike Tyson walked into the Las Vegas Hilton with 27 wins, 25 of them by knockout. He was only 20 years old, but that night, he stepped into the ring like a storm no one could stop. Across from him stood Trevor Berbick, the WBC heavyweight champion, a man with years of experience and the belt Tyson wanted. The fight didn't last long. By the second round, Tyson's fists had already broken Berbick's balance. At 2 minutes and 35 seconds into round 2, Berbick went down again, his legs too shaky to stand. The referee had no choice but to stop the fight. Tyson didn't just win a title that night. He became the youngest heavyweight champion in history, breaking Floyd Patterson's record set back in 1956. It wasn't just the knockout that stunned the world, it was how easily Tyson did it. It was clear that something had changed in boxing. That power didn't fade. Just 4 months later, on March 7, 1987, Tyson defended his title against James "Bone Crusher" Smith. The fight was frustrating. Smith kept clinching, holding Tyson, dragging him into a slow grind. Tyson still landed 191 punches out of 317. Smith only managed 51 out of 233. One body shot from Smith in round 4 rattled Tyson enough to make him stumble, a rare sight. Tyson admitted later, "He took my legs away, but he didn't fall. He won by unanimous decision and added the WBA title to his name." The scores read 120-106, 119-107, and 119-107. It wasn't a pretty fight, but it showed that Tyson could win even when things didn't go his way. On May 30th, 1987, Tyson returned to the Las Vegas Hilton to face Pinklon Thomas. Thomas had only one loss on his record and a reputation for taking punches. But Tyson dismantled him in the 6th round. First came a barrage of 15 unanswered punches, then a brutal right cross. The referee stepped in, and Tyson had another TKO. This fight wasn't about raw strength. It was about timing, movement, and control. He was evolving. becoming more than a brawler. He was turning into a machine. By August 1st, 1987, Tyson had a chance to unify it all. Facing Tony Tucker in Las Vegas, he went the full 12 rounds. The scores were decisive: 119, 111, 118, 113, 116, 112. Tucker landed a strong uppercut early in round one, shaking Tyson briefly. But Tyson kept pressing, taking punches, giving back more. With that win, he held the WBA, WBC, and IBF belts all at once. At just 21, he was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. No one had done that since the 1970s. Next came Larry Holmes on January 22, 1988. Holmes was 38, a former champion who had never been knocked out until that night. Tyson sent him to the canvas 3 times in round 4. Holmes was done. Tyson didn't just win, he humiliated a legend. It was personal, too. Holmes had insulted Cus D'Amato, Tyson's late trainer and father figure. That left hook wasn't just a punch, it was a message. Then came the fight that became legend. June 27, 1988. Tyson faced Michael Spinks. Both men were undefeated. Spinks had a 31-0 record and held the lineal championship. The fight lasted 91 seconds. One left hook, a few brutal combinations, and Spinks was out cold. The fight brought in $21 million from pay-per-view alone. Ring Magazine named it Round of the Year. Tyson had thrown 8 punches. That was all it took. On March 21, 1988, Tyson traveled to Tokyo to face Tony Tubbs. Tubbs had only 1 loss and looked confident in round 1. But in round 2, Tyson's body punches changed everything. At 2 minutes and 21 seconds, a left hook folded Tubbs over. He never fought again at championship level. By this point, Tyson wasn't just a champion, he was a phenomenon. He earned up to $30 million per fight. His lifestyle matched his punch, loud and reckless. In August 1988, he broke his hand fighting Mitch Green in Harlem. In September, he crashed his BMW into a tree. October saw police at his home after he threw furniture out the window. His wife, Robin Givens, fled the house and filed for divorce. A nightclub battery charge followed in December. The champion who owned the ring was beginning to lose control outside it. Still, in February 1989, he stepped back in the ring. Frank Bruno was the opponent. Tyson returned after 8 months, grieving his mother's death. Bruno lasted until the 5th round, but Tyson's uppercuts closed his eye and ended the fight. Tyson admitted that the grief weighed on him, but so did Bruno's early punch that shook him. It didn't stop him, though. He ended it with blood, power, and fury. Then came Carl Williams on July 21st, 1989. Another fast one, a straight right, knocked Williams out in just 93 seconds. That was Tyson's second fastest win after Spinks. People were still talking about his dominance, but behind the scenes, trouble kept building. His relationship with Robin Givens had collapsed, and distractions were piling up. By 1990, everything cracked. On February 11th in Tokyo, Mike Tyson stepped into the ring against James "Buster" Douglas. Tyson was 37-0. Douglas was a 42-1 underdog. Tyson dropped Douglas in the 8th round, but in round 10, Douglas landed an uppercut and a flurry that dropped Tyson to the canvas. He fumbled with his mouth guard and couldn't get up in time. It was over. One of the biggest upsets in sports history. Tyson's invincibility vanished in a single night. The aftermath turned ugly fast. Don King, Tyson's promoter, was accused of manipulating Tyson's purse. Tyson found out and punched King in the face during a heated meeting. His trust was gone. His team was broken. He tried to bounce back on March 17, 1990. Against Henry Tillman. Tyson knocked him out in the 1st round, but it felt desperate, not dominant. Later that year, on December 8th, Tyson fought Alex Stewart. He won the 12-round decision, but the fight was close, and Stewart landed more clean shots than expected. Tyson's face was bruised and bloodied, and the defense that once made him untouchable seemed to fade. People were no longer just watching Tyson win, they were watching him change. Then came the collapse of his marriage to Robin Givens. By 1991, the divorce was final. Givens accused Tyson of violence, calling him abusive and unstable. The legal battles dragged on, costing him nearly $9 million. His personal life was in shambles, and the public was beginning to see the cracks. On February 7, 1992, it all fell apart. Mike Tyson was arrested for the rape of Desiree Washington, an 18-year-old Miss Black America contestant. He was convicted on February 10th, just 3 days after the trial began. The court sentenced him to 6 years in prison with a $30,000 fine. On March 7, 1992, he entered the Indiana Youth Center. In prison, he was attacked within weeks. An inmate slashed him in the showers with a shank, leaving a deep wound that needed stitches. Tyson was separated from the general population after multiple fights and spent time in solitary confinement. He called it the worst time of his life. The media didn't know the full story until much later, but inside those walls, the legend of Tyson was bleeding out. During those 3 years, something shifted. He converted to Islam and began using the name Malik Abdul Aziz. He read the Quran, wrote letters to Malcolm X's family, and tried to change. But the chaos never left him. He was caught threatening guards. One incident involved Tyson biting a prison officer's hand during a rage-filled moment. It was clear that the pain inside him hadn't gone away. He was released in March 1995, but he didn't return to peace. He came out with legal restrictions, mounting debt, and a broken image. Within days, he promised to fight again. He said he would destroy anyone in his way. When Mike Tyson walked back into the ring on November 19, 1995, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, the world watched a man trying to reclaim something more than just a title. He had been locked away for 3 years. Now he was back, fists clenched, rage simmering under the surface. Across from him stood Frank Bruno, the reigning WBC heavyweight champion. Bruno had trained hard, studied Tyson's past fights, prepared for war, but it only took 3 rounds. Tyson threw 16 unanswered punches that overwhelmed Bruno and ended the fight. The ref stepped in. The crowd exploded. Tyson had done it. He was champion again. But it was what came next that stunned the world even more. In his post-fight interview, Tyson admitted that during prison he had smoked a lot of marijuana just to cope. He said he was depressed and didn't want to live. That single confession cracked open a part of Tyson the world hadn't seen. It turned a comeback into something deeper, something messier. He was a fighter again, but not whole. His trauma walked out of that prison with him, and it wasn't going away. Less than a year later, on September 7, 1996, Tyson faced Bruce Seldon in Las Vegas for the WBA and IBF belts. This time, it wasn't just the fight that made headlines. It was how fast it ended. Seldon went down twice in the first round. The second time, the punch barely touched him. People screamed. Fans yelled, "Fix!" from the stands. Some refused to believe what they saw. Seldon earned $5 million that night, but he lost the title and the respect of the sport. Even referee Richard Steele hesitated, thinking the first knockdown was a slip. Don King, who promoted both fighters, made sure the event raked in over 700,000 pay-per-view buys. The money poured in, but something was off. Rumors swirled. Was Seldon paid to lose? Was this all a setup to build a future fight with Evander Holyfield? Seldon denied it. He said he trained hard and didn't take a dive, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. That night became one of boxing's most controversial. Then came June 28, 1997. Tyson stood in the ring with Holyfield for a rematch. It was supposed to be redemption. Instead, it became history for all the wrong reasons. Tyson was angry. Holyfield had headbutted him repeatedly, opening cuts above his eyes. By the third round, Tyson snapped. He bit off a piece of Holyfield's ear. Blood spilled. Holyfield winced in pain. Tyson spit the chunk of flesh out onto the canvas. Cameras caught everything. Over 1.99 million people watched it happen live. Chaos broke loose. Police swarmed the ring. Tyson was disqualified. The Nevada State Athletic Commission fined him $3 million and banned him for a year. Tyson later said he had no choice. He couldn't keep getting butted like that. But then came the second bite. Another chunk. Another moment lost to fury. The match was never restarted. Holyfield needed 20 stitches. Tyson walked out again, not as a champ, but as the man who bit off someone's ear in front of the world. After that, Tyson's mind began to unravel in public. In October 1998, with his ban lifted, he was supposed to be rebuilding. But in New York, after a near crash with another driver, Tyson snapped again. He jumped out of his car, chased the man down, and beat on the windshield with a golf club. He kicked the man in the groin. His wife and bodyguard tried to pull him back. The District Court of Montgomery County charged him with misdemeanor second-degree assault, but the charges were dropped due to lack of injury. Even without a conviction, the message was clear. Tyson was spiraling. The anger was no longer just in the ring. It was on the streets, in his home, in every corner of his life. On June 8, 2002, in Memphis, Tyson stepped into the ring for what many thought would be his last big fight. Across from him was Lennox Lewis. At the press conference, Tyson growled into microphones. He said he wanted to eat Lewis's children. He pocketed $30 million just for showing up. But once the bell rang, Tyson didn't look like the Iron Mike of old. Lewis picked him apart. In the 7th round, Tyson took a heavy right that rattled him. In the 8th, Lewis finished it with a clean right cross that dropped Tyson to the canvas. Referee Eddie Cotton counted to 10. It ended at 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Lewis was declared the winner. The knockout was named Knockout of the Year by The Ring. Tyson was 35. His days as a real contender were over. He would fight 3 more times, but never seriously. His fire was fading. Tyson's last professional match came on June 11, 2005, against Kevin McBride in Washington, D.C. He was 38. He hadn't won a fight in over a year. McBride wasn't a star. He wasn't expected to win, but Tyson showed up tired, both in body and mind. He wasn't knocked out, but he was drained. He twisted McBride's arm. He headbutted him. He got 2 points deducted. By the end of the 6th round, Tyson didn't want to stand. He sat on his stool and refused to continue. Just like that, he retired. In the post-fight interview, he said, "I don't have the guts to be in this sport anymore. My heart is not into this anymore." His record stood at 50 wins, 6 losses, 44 knockouts. He had fought his last round, but the punches didn't stop outside the ring. By 2003, Tyson had burned through nearly $400 million in earnings. He filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, listing $23 million in debt. He'd spent $9 million on Bengal tigers. One of them mauled a woman that same year. He spent $2 million on cars, many wrecked in fits of rage. He bought mansions, lost millions in lawsuits, and paid a $9 million divorce settlement. At one point, he sold his Connecticut mansion to 50 Cent for $4 million. He slept on friends' couches. He lived in shelters. His bankruptcy papers named the IRS, lawyers, and his ex-wife as creditors. Tyson had fallen hard, not in the ring, but in life. Even after retirement, he couldn't stay away. In 2020, at age 54, Tyson returned for an exhibition fight with Roy Jones Jr. He landed 38 punches. It ended in a draw, but the world saw a shadow of the fighter he once was. Then, on November 15, 2024, Tyson fought Jake Paul at AT&T Stadium. It was sanctioned. It was real. 65,000 people filled the stands. The event pulled in $20 million, but Tyson lost by unanimous decision after 8 rounds. Still, people watched. People cared. Tyson's name still carried weight, even if his punches didn't. Tyson's life outside the ring was just as messy. He married Robin Givens in 1988. Less than a year later, it was over. Givens said their marriage was torture. She said Tyson had threatened her with a knife. She said she had thought of suicide. Tyson paid her $10 million in the divorce. It became one of the biggest settlements in sports at the time. Interviews showed a woman in fear and a man brushing it off. The world started to see Tyson as more than a boxer. He was dangerous, and not just in the ring. In 1997, he married Monica Turner. They had 2 kids, Michael and Ramla. But by 2003, Turner filed for divorce, accusing Tyson of sleeping with strippers and cheating constantly. Court documents painted a grim picture. Turner got primary custody. Tyson lost another family, another home, another piece of himself. Then came Lakiha Spicer. They married in 2009. They had 2 kids, Milan and Morocco. But just months after the wedding, tragedy hit. Tyson's daughter from a previous relationship, 4-year-old Exodus, was playing on a treadmill. A cord from the machine wrapped around her neck. It acted like a noose. She was rushed to the hospital. She died the next day. Tyson said he never recovered. He still hasn't. Tyson has 8 children in total: Amir, Ramla, Milan, Morocco, D'Amato, and 3 others. Some were born from flings, some from love, but he wasn't there for most of them. He admits that. He missed birthdays. He missed graduations. He missed years. In 2011, he tried to make peace with his eldest, Amir. They talked, they reconnected, but others still keep their distance. Tyson speaks about them often. The regret sits in his voice like weight he can't shake. Then, something shifted. In 2013, Tyson stepped onto a different kind of stage. He launched Undisputed Truth, a one-man Broadway show. He stood under lights and told his story. The drugs, the women, the breakdowns. It was written with Randy Johnson, directed by Spike Lee. The show ran for 7 weeks. Its top week earned $624,000. It eventually grossed $14 million. In 2014, Tyson announced he was sober. He admitted hiring dozens of prostitutes. He admitted he'd lost control, but now he was trying. The world looked at him differently, not just as a boxer, but as a man who fell hard and stood back up, not to fight others, but to fight himself. That battle, it seems, is still going.